Today I'm going to try and show you how to map your SLOs in your courses to your program's PLOs. And along the way, talk to you a little bit about why it's important for both program review and accreditation, which is coming up shortly. So I'm going to assume that you don't know how to get into Inventive, because if you do, that's fine. So first thing to do is simply find a browser, open it, and type into the search engine SLO, PLO, assessment, Kenyatta College, or something to that effect. And you will get this as a sort of a set of links. Click on one of them and it'll probably take you to the homepage for SLOs and PLOs. You're going to want to scroll down the left-hand side, right? There's a lot of good information on this page, but for the purposes of this video, you're going to want to click on Inventive Improved, because that's going to log you into or get you to the login area for Inventive. So you're going to click there. You're going to go and then click this link, remembering that there's lots of good print guides and video guides to help you with Inventive. But again, for the purposes of today, you're just mapping your SLOs to PLOs. You're going to click this link. It's going to open up Inventive, and it may take some time. Usually it'll log you in automatically, or you're going to have to click up here in the right-hand side and then click in, log in. It'll take you through your one login, and that'll get you into Inventive. And your default page for your program will look something like this. You can only access the program you have been given accessibility to, right? I'm going to now use two different programs to show you what mapping looks like, and maybe what a program that hasn't done all the mapping it should looks like. So you can kind of draw your own conclusions and compare and contrast. So let me go to the program that actually has done its mapping, and that's going to be anthropology. Now, what if you say to yourself, I think we did it. I'm not sure if we did it. Did we do all of it? Or any of those questions, right? So the easiest way to figure out if you've actually mapped per Inventive is to go over here to the hamburger, or the three dashes, go to SLO assessment, click on it, and then go to SLO PLO mapping. Do not go to PLO mapping, estimate, go to SLO PLO mapping and click on it. The default will give you one course in your program. So you can see here that anthropology shows up with Anthropology 110. There's a bunch of courses, right? And along the top here, right, you'll see the SLOs for this particular course. And then along the left-hand side, you should see the PLOs. Now you don't yet, because this happens to be one of those unique programs, anthropology, where it's bundled into a set of other programs, right? So the program in which the anthropology program is housed is social sciences. So for any program that is part of a bigger program, so think economics or history or political science, we would all be in this group called social sciences. And so we would have to pull this menu down and go and click this, right? Another bundled program example would be computer science and engineering, right? There are programs that are not bundled, they're standalone, and that would be something like English, and they're not going to have to do this menu pull down. But now you see that the cultural anthropology course is here, but what you notice immediately when you're in the group PLO are here the PLOs for the social sciences program. And what this faculty member has done is he or she has said, okay, for this particular SLO in this class, I think this SLO maps to this PLO and this PLO. The PLOs being over here on the vertical axis. Then she's saying that ethnocentrism, SLO, maps to this PLO and this PLO, but not this one. Now again, how do you decide where they map? That's up to your program, that's up to your discretion, that's up to your expertise. You're going to map as many of these you think your SLOs map to the PLOs, okay? And you're going to do it for every single course. Once you've done that, you will see over here on the far right, small little icons, which I'm going to make bigger for a reason. So when I resize the page, you now suddenly see these three. And if you notice, this one down here at the bottom is called SLO to PLO mapping. You're going to click on that. And this is going to tell you whether or not your program has been mapping. Because what it brings up is essentially a matrix, you might call it a spreadsheet, of all the courses in your program and where you've claimed your SLOs map to your PLOs. Now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So again, using anthropology as an example, here's Anthro 110, 125, 126, and so on, right? And what this professor has done is put into Nuventive each of these classes and their SLOs, which we've virtually all done. You've done this in your program as well. And then with that little exercise I showed you a minute ago, which we'll go back and make clear in a minute, she now shows where each of her SLOs maps to the PLOs. The PLOs will always be up here on the horizontal axis, and all the courses in the program will be along the vertical axis. And what this allows any program to do, so anthropology or English or economics, is they can step back and in one spreadsheet see how their SLOs map to their PLOs and where they think they're over coverage or under coverage or the right coverage, or it just gives them something to talk about in their program review document. So you can see how this would be useful in program review. This idea of a matrix actually was presented by Doug Herzl in biology. He asked for something like this. So kudos to Doug, and you can thank Doug for this because I think this was a great idea. And Lindsay was able to make it happen, talking to Nuventive. Now, remember I said that anthropology is part of a bigger set of social sciences, right? So if you keep scrolling, you'll notice that it changes from anthro to communications and then econ and then history. So all the social sciences that are part of this one program are going to show up in this big matrix. And again, the value of that is you can print it out and the entire program, social sciences, can look and see how their coverage works. And then subparts of social sciences, so econ or anthro or mass comm, can look at how their SLOs map to the PLOs. And again, why would we want to do this? Because you'd want to speak to it in your program review document, talking about whether or not you want to make any changes, or you think it's okay, or you don't think it's okay. And also the accrediting body will want to see that we've done this work. Because what we're telling the accrediting body when they have an X here is that this SLO is mapping to that PLO, and essentially the evidence in this SLO proves the truth of that PLO. Okay? And this is, by mapping, this is how we're making the case to the accrediting entity that we are testing our PLOs. Now, going back to a program that hasn't done it, we're going to look at human services. And I'm not going to throw human services under the bus in the sense of using them as for that purpose. I'm using this as an example to kind of show you what it looks like if you have it mapped. So again, we're going to go here. We're starting at the dashboard page. Go here. Click on SLO to PLO mapping. And we're going to quickly jump to the icon that shows us the mapping. So I'm going to come up here, widen the image, click on SLO PLO mapping, and I'm immediately going to notice something. There's only one course that's mapped. Now, I bet there's more than one course in this program, so let's go back and look. And sure enough, here's the class for 100. They've got 4 classes, but only one of them is mapped. So this program, like many of our programs, has to kind of pick it up a little and make sure that the rest of the classes are mapped. Now, this is one of the examples of a class that's not mapped. How do I know that? Because nothing in these boxes is X'd out. Compare that with what we're doing in anthropology, right? And you can see that for this course and this SLO, right, you can see all the mapping for this course. So this faculty has fully mapped all of their SLOs to the PLOs for that one course and then gone down and done it again and again and again, which is why they show up in the matrix. Whereas human services hasn't. I'm going to take that out. Now, when you're doing this, again, how do you decide for this class which SLOs map to the PLOs? That's your professional expertise. That's your discussion with other faculty members in your program's professional agreement on. You guys do this, and you might decide that that's what it looks like. When you've decided that these SLOs cover these PLOs for this class, you hit save. If you don't, it won't be saved, right? And then you repeat that exercise for the next class and the next class and the next class until you're done with all the courses in your program. Now, I'm going to deselect these because I don't want to do anything like that, right? And again, if you've done it correctly, you'll end up with something that you can see in this matrix that shows you all your classes mapped SLOs to PLOs. And then hopefully you'll use this in your analysis of your program review and hopefully it'll suffice the accrediting entity as well. And keep in mind, there's no magic to how these X's are spread across your different PLOs. You might have a program where one SLO has many more X's than another one. As long as you can explain that in your program review document, as long as you think it makes sense, that's fine. If you want to, after looking at this, rethink it, great, rethink it. And then maybe you want to map these a little differently going forward the next time you have to do that. Okay? Hopefully this helps. Take care.